Hello friends, continuing our road trip here in Utah. Sean, the driver and navigator, is going to tell us where we're going next.
So we've just come from Strawberry. We're in Duchesne right now, and we're going to go up to the Upper Stillwater Reservoir. The short explanation is 3 of these drainages of water all feed the Strawberry. We're going to go look at it. It's supposed to be a neat dam that has a spill water that goes over the middle of the reservoir and makes a waterfall if the water's high enough.
So we are leaving Duchesne now. I have a video specifically for this area and the trip to here. It's a Sunday in Utah, USA. Utah is a desert area, so that's why you'd see sparse, a lot of brown, less green. Um, Although we are still in Duchesne, we were looking for a particular road that might be quote unquote a shortcut to get to Upper Stillwater. It turned out that that didn't work out, but in fact, we were able to see more of Duchesne in doing that. So make sure to look for that video if you haven't seen it. So this trip is now to the Upper Stillwater Reservoir, which is also a dam. And as the water falls over the dam, it creates a very nice waterfall. And a lot of people go there. Engineers are interested in the way the dam was built, which is in around 1987. In fact, while we were there, one of the people that was instrumental in building it was talking about it. Not to us particularly, but just sharing it in general with the people around him. Sometimes we have these creations by man, but we don't realize the feat that went into its creation. Now we would be traveling what would be more or less heading back to the west, but then going northwest. You can see that on the map that Sean showed earlier. This is part of a longer road trip that lasted about 8 hours or more. And one of the first spots we were visiting was the Bridal Veil Falls, which again I have a video for. And then some of these stops I actually take some 360 or virtual reality video, which you can see on your screen, your phone, or whatever. And as you move, it actually moves with the screen. So that's interesting if you have never experienced that before. One of the nicer parts of going to a destination is actually the trip itself. Although this actual road trip is speeded up because it does take quite a while to get there. The point is that you get to see most of the terrain, what it's like, and so forth. Do you like it? Do you like open plains like this? I kind of pans here and there for you to see. It's a lot of farming area. I mean, one thing about the States is even roads that seemingly are in the middle of nowhere, they're still good roads. Even the dirt roads are pretty good compared to other places I've been. And when I went on road trips, some of the roads were terrible, practically impassable at times. We just passed a intersection there, which is a T-junction, which was quite interesting because you can see how sparse the houses is here, yet still they had a bulletin board there to inform everybody in the community. That's one of the things I like too about these states, the camaraderie and the way they get together to do things, no matter how small it may seem. In these roads, you you could take another path which has pitch and asphalt, but Sean wanted to try this path, which is quote unquote a shortcut. We couldn't go as fast, but as you can see, it's a dirt road. There's no asphalt here. But it was still flat enough. I guess you wouldn't take this if it rained, but again, Utah is a desert. So most of it is dry. Most of the time it's dry. In fact, in my time in Utah, I mean, I have seen rains, I have seen a lot of wind, but the days without rain far outnumber those that do have rain. So you see now where we've hit the main road and can continue our journey. Now, it's not going to be sparse like this on the whole trip. we will actually come to a part of this journey as we go more north where you'll start to see more and more trees, especially pine trees. It's not so prevalent right now, but you will see them. Actually, some of this reminds me of some certain parts of Wales in the United Kingdom. You could drive for a while like this and you wouldn't encounter much trees. The only difference is that in Wales, they like to put up these rocky walls and you would see lots of sheep. There aren't any many animals around here. It's not really developed land, this spot. And sometimes whatever animals you do see tends to be more like cattle. I don't know if you can tell too, but the elevation increases as we go up into the mountains. Some of these peaks around this area, not necessarily this particular part, but they can go as much as 12,000 feet above sea level. And as we drive, you can start to see some trees start to appear here and there. And the closer we get to the dam, which of course is water, then you start to see more and more trees. A lot of people like to come out here for camping, hiking, and whatnot. Because there aren't a lot of trees, it'll be more apt for seeing where you are going. But the distance you would have to cover is incredible. So it's not a place you would want to be lost or broken down or whatever. As we descend a bit here, you'll start to see everything becoming just a bit more green. That's another interesting thing about Utah. You can always tell where water is because you'll start to see a lot of green. Otherwise, it's mostly brown. Of course, the only difference with that is during winter, there's lots of snow everywhere. And I can only imagine that a lot of these mountains that you're looking at are all covered in white. However, I don't know how often the roads here are cleared, so I wouldn't be sure about coming out here during winter time. By the way, Sean is more expert in these areas and the rivers and the lakes and stuff. So if that's of interest to you, make sure to ask your questions in the comments area, and I will be sure to let him know that you have a question and he can answer it. Look at all the trees. See what I was telling you? It's starting to get really green as we get closer and closer. And by the time the clock on the right goes to 0, we would have reached Stillwater Dam or Stillwater Reservoir. Because the trip today was so long, my batteries kind of died. And so I can't show you the exact road trip up to Stillwater, but this probably just missed about a mile, that's all. Nothing much. So here we are. You could see the dam on the left. We're crossing a river now. This is a bridge. Now you can see all the trees, the pine trees, lots of green because there's water around. And this is a Sunday, by the way, but there's still a lot of people here coming to visit. Now there's two ways you can see this. You can stay at the bottom, and some people go right up to the water, which we don't do. I can only imagine the mist there that hits you, make you soak. We decided to go up towards the top so we could see all the water that's being retained by the reservoir, the dam. And some of the people actually walk to the top. It's not that long, but yeah, it does take some doing. So if you plan to come here, you can make that part of your adventure too. That you park at the bottom and you walk up the hill, or you could do it in reverse, park at the top and then walk down. But just remember, you will have to walk back up. Besides just being a reservoir and a dam, it is considered quote unquote a tourist site. There are things there for you to read, places to sit down, look and whatnot. I wouldn't call it a picnic area per se, although I guess you could pull across to the side and do your thing if that's your interest. But it is considered a place to come and visit. There is a restricted part which I will show you in the video. Sean was telling me that you could actually cross over the dam, but according to what I see there now, it's not allowed. In fact, they have cameras, everything, lots of warnings. Look at the Rocky Mountains on the right. I will show you a better picture of that when we stop. I just love those surfaces, how it's etched. They took a lot of the materials and resources from the area to actually create barriers, the foundations, and so forth. You could actually see the reservoir in the distance behind those people. All the water that's being retained so it could be funneled. That part there, that's actually the restroom. What a highlight, right? So this is the actual dam. Behind that would be the water, which I'll show you closer. And I'm playing for you the natural sounds in the background. You can hear it. This is some of the area that you can come. Some people bring their ATVs. And this part here you can read the plaques and panels to see what it says about the history of the place, what was involved, why they want to have a dam there, etc. Maybe you can capture some of it from the camera. Some people will always say, why don't you slow down so I can read it? Well, all you have to do is actually pause the video and it will freeze it right there so you can read it. Or you can always come back and look at it. That diagram shows how the water is retained by the dam. You know, shooting something with a camera really doesn't give justice, but this is a huge dam. I mean, look at the distance it's covering from one end where we are to the other. So friends, we are here looking at some footprints. You could see them in the concrete. What does it look like? Let's look for it. Which one of these animals do you think it looks like? And then over here, does that resemble anything that looks familiar to you? Any of those? Tell me what you think in the comments area. Which animal do you think this? Look, have a look. What do you think? What matches that print? Now there are two sets here. There's this one which is a bit smaller, and then there's this one that's bigger. What does that resemble? Tell me what you think in the comments area. So we continued our path towards the actual body of water, which would form a lake or reservoir. But in doing so, I was taking in more of this foundation, which I've seen in other places. So warning there about the falling rocks. I can only imagine some daredevil will try to skate down there too. But if you come in these areas, please don't do that. Just stay within the parameter of these fences. Sometimes you will see me pan down to the road and then back up. That's because I'm trying to avoid people and their children. A lot of kids were running up and down. I just don't want them on my video. And this is a good shot here showing you the distance from one end to the other. And all of the warning signs about not going any further than where we are. Probably would have been nice to get a shot from that middle part there of both sides, but as you see, it's restricted. Just going to take a quick look at the water. But I just want to let you know I really appreciate you watching JB's Man Cave and being part of my channel. I know a lot of my fans to Utah are new. Most of it was covering the Caribbean and stuff, but I appreciate that you still stick with me. Thanks so much for watching, and do support me by subscribing. It's free.